It's the Believe in Texans podcast sponsored by FanDuel. I'm here with Cecil Shorts, former Houston Texans wide receiver. I played for the Texans a long, long time ago, even longer ago than Cecil. We're also going to have Lorenzo Neal on the show today, a fullback who was awesome in the league, two-time All-Pro, and we're going to talk to him a little bit about this Texans plan to probably use a fullback more than most teams do these days. But Cecil, before Lorenzo comes on, as we enter the third preseason game, who knows how much we'll see of all the starters. What are some of the things that you're most concerned about or that you have lingering concerns about right now?
Know what? That's interesting. I think we talk so highly on the defensive side and how good they are. Outside of Derek Stingley and Kamari Lassiter, I'm not sure how deep the cornerback situation is. You know what I mean? I know Jalen had a pick this past weekend. That's exciting. Rookie from USC. But you got some questions there. You know what I mean? Is it Arnett? Is it, who else is going to step up? Is it Tremon Smith? Like, I don't know. Now, God forbid anything happens to those guys, right? But I think the depth at corner, even I'll say DB as a whole, outside of your first set of DBs, are the twos good enough to be able to come in and make plays?
And it's weird because Sean Pendergast pointed out this morning, you look around the league and when people talk about the Texans, they say, wow, they could have one of the best secondaries in the league. And I 100% believe that if you're looking at the starters, but mine would be a defensive back as well, but the safety position, but it's all tied together because right now with CJ Gardner-Johnson out and Jimmy Ward and his situation, you start looking at, okay, well, they can move Jalen Petrie or Miles Bryant or somebody like that back to play safety, which makes your cornerback, especially with Miles Bryant or one of those guys, that makes your cornerback situation that much more dicey. I think there's still a real good chance that one of the cornerbacks on the Texans roster this year is playing elsewhere right now, and it either is either a trade or a waiver wire pickup or something like that.
No, you know what? I always – that's a great point. I always forget it's the Pickens coming. It's going to be a mass cut. It's going to be a mass cut by everybody, and people will have their first pick. And so I do think, I agree with you. I think a corner will be added, maybe a safety. Something will be added to that defensive backfield to help the depth.
With Jalen Smith, it's tough because you always have with Jalen Smith, he had a couple rough snaps versus the Panthers in the joint practice, and then all of a sudden that becomes, oh, man, he's struggling. Look at this bum. He's really good. But then he has a couple good plays in the preseason game, and you swing the pendulum back the other way. For me, when I've been able to watch him, I feel like he's exactly where you'd hope that a third-round cornerback that you drafted is, that he's done some good things. He's got some work with other things. I'm a little bit agitated right now just because when it comes to rookie play and everything, you did a really nice little critique or pointing out some things that Jaden Higgins could have done on that one out route last week, which we weren't criticizing at all. He's a rookie, and this is all part of getting ingrained into the offense. But I had somebody come to Jaden Higgins' defense asking why we were being such jerks about it. And the first thing I thought was like, man, I would hate to coach you. Oh God, I would hate to coach you. Like, is this where we're at? You can't point out these minor little tweaks and what you do. So with rookies though, you do have to remember that no matter how good they are, they're still rookies and they've got things that they need to iron out in their game.
No, for sure. And that's the whole point. The timing of Jaden Higgins and CJ will get better. Weren't killing them. I thought you were on a darn good route. It was just you got to be there at a certain time, and CJ's throwing to a spot. I tell you what, though, Seth, we talked about the DBs. I'm starting to, and maybe I'm in my head some. Maybe you can talk me out of it.
Okay.
I'm starting to worry about the running backs because I haven't seen Dameon Pierce. I don't know how much he's practiced. The last time we've seen him, I guess it was a 92-yard run last year versus Tennessee or whatever it was. But he has kind of been, since his rookie year, he has not been the same guy.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Hasn't been the same guy. Nick Chubb is old. He's not the same guy he once was. But I'm like, who's going to produce that explosive run game? Like, is it going to be good enough during the regular season if Joe Mixon is out?
Right. Okay. The worst case scenario would be that Joe Mixon misses the entire season. I don't think that's likely, but that's worst case scenario, obviously. What could you do with this group? I think that Nick Chubb, we both agree, at least right now, you look at him as a guy that can churn out yardage and keep the sticks moving. And, what is his ceiling? I think for one, I would expect that as long as he can remain healthy with his other body parts, he's going to continue to get better and get a little bit more explosive. I don't know what the ceiling is on all that. But the other part of it would also be, where is he? Like, where is Dameon Pierce really genuinely physically? If he's okay, then this is going to be a much more similar scheme to what he had in his rookie year, where he can see a hole, hit the hole and hit it, break some tackles. It's hard to, after 2 years of not having a steady diet of Dameon Pierce, it's hard to envision that or predict that right now. And we can get into Woody Marks after we end up talking to Lorenzo Neal. So, I had talked to somebody from the Rams just kind of casually last year, and we were talking about Dameon Pierce, and this guy said, we love Dameon Pierce. And he said, the collective we. Nick Caley was on that staff. So I don't know if Nick Caley was one of the guys that loved Dameon Pierce. He spoke about Dameon Pierce the other day and talked about just he knows how physical he is. There's been an emphasis on physicality. The running back by committee, I know it doesn't capture the imagination, but I feel like they have the body types, if you add Woody Marks into it, to where, all right, you've got a pass catcher and a guy who's got a different type of athleticism than Dameon Pierce and Nick Chubb. Then it's just a matter of, all right, how much can you handle? Like, how much of a steady diet of Nick Chubb can you have? What does Dameon Pierce look like? And I think they're being, they've worked him into practice really slowly. The joint practice tomorrow in Detroit is, I think, the one that's going to be really interesting, because they might still want to hold him out of the out of the preseason game. But if they give him a bunch of carries against Detroit and that defense, and he has success there, I'll change from being a little bit nervous to like irrational enthusiasm over the possibilities.
See, that's going to be exciting, because that's physicality mindset versus physicality mindset. Like, that's good on good, banging against each other.
Yeah,
the Lions going to want to run the football. So that's going to be exciting to see ones versus ones on their offensive side versus the Texas defense, and on the flip side, Texas offense versus the Lions defense.
I'm so glad that we're talking about physicality, because we're about to bring Lorenzo Neal on here. So as I promised, as we're talking about the importance of physicality on this Texans offense, we introduce Lorenzo Neal, who played in the NFL for 16 seasons, was a 3-time All-Pro as a fullback back when that used to be a thing, had 11 straight seasons blocking for a 1,000-yard receiver. In a couple of those seasons, it was for Eddie George. And I know this because, Lorenzo, before I even let you utter a word, one of the most embarrassing things that ever happened to me on a football field was I was playing for the Jaguars. We were playing in Tennessee, and they threw a screen to you, and you caught it. I had read the screen, because, damn it, my football IQ was just – so I was sprinting towards the sideline, and one of our cornerbacks had come up and had you by the ankle, and you're kind of like hopping towards the line of scrimmage, and I'm just thinking my eyes are getting wide, and I'm running a full 5.2 40 to the sideline. Your ribs are exposed. I'm like, I'm going to blast him. I swear, 1.5 seconds before I would have hit you, or at least ended up colliding with you, you look off to the side – dip your shoulder, and the next thing I know, I'm like upside down on the ground with what would be an undiagnosed concussion. We didn't diagnose him back then. I was like, what the hell just happened? And on film review, you had just dipped your shoulder and just bam, triple extension up into my chin. It was one of the most impressive things physically that I've ever seen or experienced ever. And I don't know if you remember that. That was just another day at the office for you.
Hey, sometimes you get the bear and sometimes the bear gets you. I think I remember that was on the sideline. I caught the ball. I was hopping on the leg. I saw you come in. I dipped that right shoulder, and I got lucky, man. I think I caught you off guard. It's the ones that you don't see.
We still got a tackle for a loss, but it was the worst. It wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it at all. I can't remember where I left my keys anymore because of that right there.
That's funny.
I love it. I love it. Man, I tell you, it's always some great stories going down memory lane and just talking about the game and a game that's physical and the physicality of the National Football League, and just watching it. And sometimes we talking about different fullbacks. I know we talked about different guys, and I talked to Max Schrum the other day, and of course me and Mike Allstott, we talk, and Moose Johnson and little Larry Sinners, and there's guys. You're talking about another guy that people don't talk about, Corey Schlesinger, for the great Barry Sanders, and just all these different guys. Sam Gash, we talk, and And it's just really neat to be able to talk to these guys. I'm up in the Bay doing some stuff for the Niners and seeing Juice and hanging out with Juszczyk and just kind of watching, kind of the last of a dying breed. And I know Ricard still plays. You got the Ravens still, Hardball brothers. They're carrying a fullback, and I'd love to see it come back. It's just a mentality. When you used to watch Sam Gash get downhill, he was going to go to a hair glass. When you saw the way that Moose Johnson, the way that we protected, the running backs, what we knew what we had to do, because we're linemen in the backfield. And it was going to be a car crash every time we touched linebackers up or defensive end or wham block or tight end. Didn't matter. We're hitting everyone on the field. So I loved it. It was tough. You remember watching, teams would just line up and just impose their will using going eye back and heavy. And you just love the way football was back in the day.
I tell you what, I'm a receiver, but that's football. Lining up in the I formation and saying, I'm better than you, with a fullback and a running back.
Yeah.
And we're coming downhill.
No, exactly.
Stop it. That's football right there. Let me ask you this, though, Lorenzo. The Texans are trying to rebuild their identity on offense when it comes to the run game. This whole offseason, the offensive coordinator, Nick Cady, talked about being physical. The offensive line coach, Cole Popovich, talked about being physical. You blocked for Mike Allstott. I think Seth mentioned Eddie George, Warwick Dunn, LT. What is needed, not only for the Texans, but in general, a good run game? What is needed? Is it just the mentality part? Is it the scheme? What is needed to have a good run game?
Well, you hit it right on the head. It's just like, it's the mentality. You played tight, you played receiver, and you have to, boom, it's boss back on strong safety, and you got a boss back. You got to freaking let the first one go and go up to the next one. And sometimes he's coming downhill and you see him and it's like, okay, you're going to have to make a decision. You got to make a business decision as a receiver. I know I don't do this often, but if I want to get on the field and be like that Hines Ward and be that guy that's going to come out there and kiss, I have to show these coaches and the running back and the players that I'm not scared to come in here and crack a dude. You guys sometimes have to crack a linebacker. You have to crack a safety. You have to crack a DB. And you have to go out there and say, hey, look, it's a mentality, because it doesn't feel good. I mean, shoot, that's why I wore the big cowboy neck collar and, the smelling salt. Can't even smell that stuff now. Trust me, guys are still doing it. They got it in their pocket. I'm watching guys on the sideline now. They're like, forget the league. You're trying to make it. We need that to be a little crazy. You got to have that mentality. I'm telling you right now, on Sundays, I came to do two things, brother. That was chew bubble gum and kick ass. And on Sunday, I was fresh out of bubble gum. Woo! You got me fired up over here. I'm fired up.
You're allowed to use your own supply. That was the clarification of the ruling on the smelling salts, was you can use your own supply.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
But you know the song, brother. You can't get high on your own supply, baby.
You know what, man? I kept saying, I saw this for years, and the NFL did it when they said they wouldn't supply it themselves anymore, was that it doesn't actually improve performance. I'm like, to the hell it doesn't. Because that's based on studies where they hook somebody up to a treadmill or something. I'm like, I just need to think straight. I need to try to, I can't feel my feet. I need something right now to get me back into it. That doesn't perform. It helps me walk again. Damn it. Well, hey, I talked to Pat Kerwin from Sirius XM NFL. He was out at training camp when we were up in West Virginia, and he said, because we talk every year about, well, listen, offenses have been so focused on the pass every year, and that defenses have become they're lighter in the ass now. Teams are out there in nickel and dime all the time. That I've been saying, man, the pendulum's going to swing back, and at some point it's going to be a little bit more run heavy. And we started to see that last year with the Eagles, with the Ravens. I think there's evidence of that. Kerwin said that he went to 6 straight training camps where teams were planning on using a fullback more heavily this year. And and he said he can't remember the last time it was like that. Do you think that the league is kind of ripe right now for the run game to reassert itself and become more of a thing?
I think it is, and it's going to depend on the guys that they give the opportunity to. Because I realized when I was playing, opportunity wasn't lost; it was given to someone else. And I was damned that I'm saying you're going to go 12 personnel with 2 tight ends, 21 personnel, two running backs and 1 tight end. I wanted to make sure that they were calling 22 or 21, so I'm to be on the field. So how do you ensure that? It's going out there and, like you guys alluded to, it's playing with the altitude. It's creating a new line of scrimmage. When you're playing fullback, you can't just go up there and titty block and dance around with the guy. You got to create a new line of scrimmage. It's go kiss that guy in the mouth, dip and rip, get underneath his chin, kiss him right in the mouth and let him know that I'm there. And then you dip and rip and you push him. Or are you saying, okay, I should see that safety come down. I'm watching single high, two safeties, and all of a sudden they rotate single high safety and he's coming. I'm like, hey, diddle, LT up the middle. Get on my hip and I tell him LT. I said, get on my hip and don't dip. Let's ride, daddy. Call out the dogs and piss on the fire. And I knew that safety was coming down and he was playing outside contain. So I said, I'm going to fight like hell to get my head inside and make that safety play air. And I said, if I can cut him off there, and now LT gone down the field, and you saw the back of 2-1, it was too late because he was even. If he was even, he was leaving. I'm fired up.
I love that, man. That makes me so excited.
I think, but then the other side of it is everything that you just talked about. What I've seen over and over again is teams in the league saying, oh, that's okay, we can just have a tight end play fullback. And as somebody who we've already established has had my butt kicked by fullbacks at various times in my life, it's just not the same. I mean, for one, it's just not, you don't have the reps, but you don't have the right, a 6'5" dude can't get down and do what, and doesn't have the leverage that an actual fullback does.
And you're absolutely right. And that's why it's predicated on intensity. And that's why the pendulum, I think, will swing. But now when it swings, the fullback's got to say, I have to go and do my job. I have to make sure, hey, if I want to get that outside, cut the guy on the outside thigh board, cut him, get him down on the ground. So, bam, now the tailback can get up, press the hole, slow to the hole, and then fast through. When you want to create that, and so you're talking about 6 training camps that he talked about he went to and he saw a fullback, because it has changed, because the league has gotten so finesse. If you can line up an eye back and say, I can run the ball, you can whip some ass out there. Because I'm telling you right now, guys don't want to take a physical. You got linebackers 215, 220. If you got a fullback 230 and can come downhill, now that guy's going to run a track. That linebacker either going to try to olay him, he's going to have to move out of the way, and he's going to create space because they're too light to stand in there and play. I remember blocking against guys like Rudd that was 220 pounds, 215. Give me that guy, you line him up, and I'm going to bust his nose. I'm going to bloody his lip. I'm going to say, you line up, and I'm going to make you make a business decision. Do I want to keep coming in there? And you'll see it. They'll come in, and all of a sudden they'll try to slip a shoulder, and they're creating a lane. So if you have a guy that just run a track, you got to understand, go to that side and keep smelling that Epsom salt. Keep smelling it, go back in and keep busting, because somebody has a breaking point. There is a breaking point. And so when you're talking about the pendulum, and now, see these teams, they're wanting to go 2 backs. They're wanting to run the ball, because if you can run the ball, especially in November and December, that's the time when the weather changes, the elements changing. You have to have a physical mindset. That's why you saw Baltimore continues every year to be successful, because it's a mindset. That's why the Niners are always successful. It's a mindset, running the ball. And of course, you saw Philadelphia being able to run the ball last year.
That's not by mistake. Like, the teams that are consistently in championship contention are physical, are being able to run the football, are being able to, no matter what the weather is, they still can execute an offense with running and punishing the opponent defense. Now, you mentioned linebackers and seeing 215, 220-pound guys. Who was the toughest linebacker in your day that you had to go up against, or safety?
I'll tell you what, I love the era that I was in. There's so many guys that made me. I remember going to Kansas City. We would practice in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and we called that the Cheese Belt area. Chicago Bears was there, Minnesota Vikings, Kansas City Chiefs, the Saints, the Rams. Everyone was in like a 40 miles, Mankato, all those different areas, and everyone had training camp. So you would drive or bus to different places, and you would have practices against 4 or 5 different teams. Training camp, bro, used to be fun because you would practice against yourself, but then you knew for a couple of days either a team was coming to you or you were going to that team. So I remember playing against, Kansas City Chiefs, and we kept running balls back on backer. The great Ronnie Lott was still playing in the league. He was playing for Kansas City Chiefs, and we would do that pitch. Boom, kick out, guard pull it. I'm going to me and Ronnie. Boom, boom. We just kept on hitting all day. And I was like, okay. And I was like, I'm getting tired to play, but I just knew I was a rookie. I said, I got to go in here. This Ronnie. And after practice, my coach, Jim Skipper, Ronnie called him over the side, and they kept walking in. He wouldn't talk to me, of course. Ronnie, I'm a rookie. What do you know? And my coach Skipper called me up and said, hey, oh man, he said, the man gave you some props. He said, who's that 22 guy? You got a good one there. And I called my mom and daddy and said, yeah, Ronnie said I'm a tough sucker, so don't worry about the mule going blind. Just hold the trains and pull the line. I'm ready, baby. So that was one of those guys that let you know that you belong. But let me tell you, man, hell, young fella, you don't even know. But I grew up with the Dome Patrol, Ricky Jackson, Pat Swilling, Von Johnson. I played with those guys, and they would whoop your butt every day. I remember going to training camp. Brad Muster, remember the great Brad Muster, played for the Chicago Bears, Stanford grad, fullback. He's hurt. They make a trade for me. Ironhead goes, ships him over to Atlanta. So I come into New Orleans. Brad Muster goes down. I'm playing fullback. I'm leading up in there. Von Johnson, his head. You think I got a big head? I see y'all looking at my head. His head was bigger than mine. And we just kept hitting. And the next, I was like, dude, that night I bought him beer and drinks. I said, hey, man, take it easy. I'm only fullback. Don't do it. Next day we line up in I. And I'm like, to look over at Sam Mills. He runs in there, boom, knocks me out anyway. I got beat up by some of the one of the greatest linebacking core in the league. But at present, like guys like Ray Lewis, Urlacher, when I played against those guys, to be honest, I love playing against them because they're 6'2", 6'3". I'd get up and eat. I told them, bring your lunch belt. It's gonna be all day. Yeah. I said, Daddy, don't worry, I'm coming for you. So I like playing against the taller guys. Guys like Zach Thomas, because he's shorter. I couldn't get underneath him and dip and rip. A guy who, played great, Al Wilson. I don't know if you guys remember Al Wilson, played for, Denver Broncos, Tennessee, great guy, low. So those smaller guys, Jesse Tuggle back in the day, played for the Atlanta Falcons. Those are the guys that gave me fits because they were more compact and it was hard for me to get underneath them.
It's interesting. You cover the Chargers now, and obviously, you got an offensive coordinator in Greg Roman, who's very much about the run game. Jim Harbaugh, very much about the run game. The Chargers open up against the Chiefs. You're 3-point underdogs in that game. Like, how do you see that going right now with the Chiefs coming off their Super Bowl loss and all the changes you guys have made?
Yeah, Chiefs, they went out and they invested where? In the trenches. They went out and got a tackle. It was first round. It was injured, but could be, a sleeper. It's tough because the Chargers lost, honestly, I think one of the top 5 tackles in the league in Slater. When you lose Slater, that's a huge loss. And then you went out in free agency, okay, we're going to go get a running back. Najee was at 4 yards in a cloud of dust. Wasn't necessarily a game changer. He's just a chain mover. So, he's a guy that may be on PUP or, injured because of fireworks on the 4th of July. So you don't have, the young fella is going to be good, Omarion Hampton, but you had a veteran guy, and Najee would have been great to have a two-headed monster. So it's going to be a tough game. I love it because it's in Brazil. It's not in Kansas City. It's going to be, mutual kind of a playing atmosphere, playing field. But the Chargers, man, I like what they're doing. I like their defense, what they have in the ageless wonder, Khalil Mack. You look what they did. They got better in the secondary. They got better up front. So it's going to be a good game, but you have to realize Kansas City, you got to knock those guys out. Mahomes, they didn't play well in the Super Bowl, but Justin Herbert, he plays well against Kansas City. I think this is going to be a good game. It can go either way.
Can you go in a little more detail about Hampton? I'm always very curious about running backs coming into the league because they're kind of hit or miss, and always there's like a guy in Washington right now who's a 7th round pick. I feel like teams feel like they can find a late round guy can come in and make an impact right away. But when you draft a guy round 1, you expect him to be special. Like you expect Genty to be that dude. You expect Omarion Hampton to be that guy. Do you think he can be that guy for the Chargers?
Yeah, when you think about Natron, Natron means that great guy, good friend of mine, personal friend, played many years in the league, was a Charger. He coached Omarion, and we had him on the show, and he talked about what this guy can do. This is the patience. I like that he's slow to the hole and he's fast through. I like that he's got breakaway speed. I like that he's a bigger back. He can run. He can break tackles. He's got good patience. If you're running back, a lot of times guys get so anxious. They run up on the offensive line back, and they don't give them an opportunity to create movement, create space. I like this young fella. He's got patience, and he's got some speed, and he has some explosion, and he can break some tackles. I think, Genty is going to have plenty of opportunities because the Raiders are going to depend on him. They're going to run the ball a lot. But I'm telling you, this guy, if this offensive line, unfortunately, you lost a great one, offensive tackle. If they didn't, I'd say, look, these guys are going to go head to head. I really believe that he is going to be out of the rookies. I think he's going to be one of those rookies this year that's going to be one of those bell cows and a guy that's going to make things happen. Like him a lot. He will be a very, very effective this year for the Chargers.
Lorenzo, really appreciate you coming on, man. Anybody watching this, if you want more of everything that you just saw from Lorenzo, follow the Believe in Chargers podcast. And I knew from the very beginning, the first time we played you, because John Pease, my defensive line coach, had been with you with the Saints. And I've never seen a defensive coach get so excited about the opposing fullback making big plays against his own team. He was your best promoter. He was almost, I think he wanted you to beat the crap out of us just to teach us a lesson about how it used to be in the old day.
That's great. Peasy, so John Pease gave me lots of love. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. He couldn't stop talking about you. He loved you so much.
Oh, man. He was a great man. Well, I'll tell you, man, I love to do it again. You guys are the best, man. And also love to give a shout out. Go to boltsinbrazil.com, boltsinbrazil.com. If guys want to go check that game out. Hey, you guys can come out too. Games on a Friday. You guys can come out and we can get crazy. Games on a Friday, baby.
All right, man. Sounds good. Thanks a lot.
All right, guys. Cheers. I'm out of here.
That
was awesome, man. He was
energy for days.
Yeah, it's funny. You would never guess by his demeanor between when he's talking about football versus when he's just chatting about football, night and day. He's a lot like D'Amico. D'Amico's got a different personality, but D'Amico's got that ability to flip the switch onto the dark side. I think Lorenzo Neal's that same way, just pleasant as could be, but when it comes to actually playing football or thinking about playing football, he flips the switch.
So he really flipped you over. Like he put his shoulder down.
It was more like the hardest collisions are always when it's kind of a stalemate.
Yeah.
It's one, if you get hit backwards, that's one thing, but no, we kind of because I was running at him and he just stopped me like I'd ridden my bicycle into a brick wall. And so I think I kind of just keeled over slowly doing the cockroach.
That hurts.
All right, I got amped up though. Listening to him talk about the physical side of it. So we were talking about the physicality of the offense and how we feel about the running back. I think that to finish that part of it up, I have my concerns at certain areas on the defense. Any concerns I had about CJ's accuracy early in camp, and we talked about it. We said that it's probably not a big deal, but it just right now doesn't look like what you expect out of CJ. I think now that they've got some of their timing down, now that they've got the offense installed a couple times and they can operate and just go out there and actually follow a play script, I feel A-okay about everything. I'm not worried that whatever there's going to be hiccups along the way, but CJ to me now looks a lot like the CJ that you've come to expect to see.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad you feel that way. I would say this. I think CJ has a chance to really be not the old CJ, but really just step up this year from a maturity standpoint.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the line of scrimmage, everything he's going to have to own. Mm-hmm. There's no more blaming other guys. It's on him, right? Whether it's the slide protection, whether it's sometimes coming to the line of scrimmage with two plays and picking the right play based on the defense. So I'm excited to see his growth. I'm excited to see him continue to mature into the quarterback we all think he can be. I tell you what, I'm still focused on how exciting Neal was, man. He was so into it.
Those kids at Lamar High School better watch out today. I feel like you're going to be your receivers are going to be drive blocking guys over the bench into the water coolers on the sideline.
It's going to be so much fun today.
I'll try to send you a clip. You know what? I'll try to send you a clip to show to your kids in time for practice today, or at the very least, you could do it tomorrow or something. The FanDuel has the Lions as 1.5-point favorites in a preseason game. Gosh, I applaud anybody that sits down and tries to handicap a preseason game. The one thing where I feel like the Texans might have an advantage is that I think that they're so deep in the receiving core, and that they're also perhaps going to give Dameon Pierce some snaps that versus a new defensive coordinator and a new offensive coordinator versus the Lions, because those guys, Dan Campbell's got new guys on both sides of it. I for however much you care or don't care about preseason, outcomes, I think the Texans have a bit of an edge just because of where they are in the depth chart at some of the skill positions.
No, I agree. One guy that stands out is Xavier Hutchinson.
Yeah.
Straight baller. He's literally been getting better each and every year, right? Each and every year. You saw the potential, okay, the size, he was a forward, whatever guy. He was an All-American in Iowa State. But when you see him on the field, he's a blocker. Always been a blocker. Always been serious in the run game. Always been serious on special teams. But now he's able to make tough catches and get open with separation. It's going to be fun to see. So I agree. The depth at the receiver position, even the depth at running back for the preseason, if Damian plays, it gives you a little confidence that they should be all right.
Yeah. Yeah, there's Xavier Hutchinson. I'm glad you brought him up because I wanted to ask you about him. I'm always careful and wary of just taking a camp performance and thinking, okay, we're just going to continue this on to the regular season. There is something about Xavier Hutchinson this year where it feels like over the course of the camp, he's just become more of a go-to guy, more so than I can remember. And obviously last year you got 3 guys above him on the depth chart. This year, he's competing for time with a couple of rookies who aren't going to have the same polish and aren't going to necessarily just have all the nuance down as well as Xavier Hutchinson can with his experience. So that might be somebody to talk about with some of the fantasy folks at some point. That's going to be interesting to see him in the regular season.
Yeah, I'm excited for him, man. He's, like I said, every year's getting better and better. So I'm excited for him. The Texans got a deep receiving room. Like, it's really, really deep. Nobody's talking about Christian Kirk. Like Christian,
you're exactly right. Nobody's talking about Christian Kirk. He's one of my dark horse guys that could really just put together. There was a list of Texans who might make their first Pro Bowl this season. You go back to his first year in Jacksonville, and he had, I think, 1,150 yards. That was his best season so far. And then he's had health issues since then, and whatever's going on with the Jaguars' offense. But especially as much as they've been emphasizing the quick game, you might see a heavy dosage of Christian Kirk more so than everybody's talking about. It's the Believe in Texans podcast. Thanks to FanDuel for sponsoring. We will see you after this Lions game and probably with a brand spanking new roster to talk about. All right. Thanks, everybody.